Pow wow, yo, yippee, yay, guys. Power 13, and I'm super excited to be with you guys. As always, we'll dive into the love of the community, then talk about what's happening on SwissBorg network, talk about the BORG, talk about the future of the BORG, talk about as well two amazing projects that comes out of SwissBorg as well, which is Agora, the new Alpha deal, and Galactica, to know a little bit more into how this wonderful layer 1 is changing the game of data ownership. As you guys know, my name is Cyrus Fizel, the proud founder and CEO of SwissBorg, always here to serve you. And yes, well, thank you again to Crypto CG for the swag. It's amazing always to get different swag, different t-shirts. Loving it all the time. Much thank you. Grazie mille. So market updates. Bitcoin last week. As you guys know, well, it's going in and out, right? There is a lot of pumps happening, and there's a lot of dumps, and there's a lot of volatility. And I think so we're trying to figure out what's the big next thing, which obviously is the halving happening. And people don't want to get too overexcited while people want to get excited at the same time. That's, I think, so what's happening. So you have a bit like two worlds. So you have a lot of inflows that are continuing. And if you check at what's happening regarding the ETFs, there's still a lot of money that essentially is getting into these wonderful ETFs. And if you look at right now here, you see that essentially the volumes is just growing itself. And if you look at the inflows, the net flows, which are here, a little bit smaller down. There was, some little bit smaller inflows, and there was even some outflows that happened a little bit here. But since that, there is actually still a lot of, actually inflows that are coming in. So what I think what's pretty much happening is that there's still institutional demands. The other side is that people don't want to get too crazy before the party has started, which is the halving. So you have on some way let's say the crypto enthusiasts that are not as enthusiasts as let's say the old institutional world, and then you have the institutional world that's a little bit bumping in, but things are going slowly. It's hard to know what was going to happen with Bitcoin itself. If you look at the massive drawdowns that happened since 2011, and before all the different halvings, we had massive essentially drawdowns that happened of 23%, 38%, 50% as well, 61% in the last cycle. So these are relatively very small. And what you have to understand is that this could happen, by the way, very rapidly, that we could have a drop, let's say, of 40% from now, and that doesn't mean it's the end. It'll be probably a flash crash if that happens, and then things will pump back on. I don't think this is going to happen, but there's still a lot of people that are thinking that Bitcoin will go around 55, 57, and that is a strong possibility here. So what is happening in the market? There's obviously a lot of blood everywhere. There has been those few tokens that have been performing quite well, which is essentially some of the gaming sector. And a lot has to do to low liquidity market caps, and a lot of people getting in, few big wallets going to that. What is interesting to see is that Ghosts, which is a nice token that, is regarding gaming and Aave, they are flipping to Base. So a lot of people got excited about that on Base. As you know, Base is right now one of the solid L2s on Ethereum, is making a lot of noise. So just copying about that, Aavegotchi, it's a gaming that have NFT and DeFi into it. This is what's very different. It's not like a very nice game. It's really more about the game theory put into gaming and DeFi. And I think this is quite cool. You have different reward system through an avatar. You have different things that you could play around with. And again, the very nice thing is that there's a huge buy pressure because of the liquid token, but more importantly, is going to Base. What's going to be very cool, the Woo. No, I'm joking. But if you don't know what this is the Wormhole. Wormhole is one of their leading cross-chain protocol for essentially Solana. It's the one that we have been working very closely with, and it enables you to go from, let's say, Ethereum, for example, ERC20 token to SL20 token, right? So you'll be able to bring one token to bring it onto Solana. This is a huge huge thing for Solana, because this means that Ethereum could go on there. There could be a lot of different other essentially tokens could finally get into Solana. This has been developed already for years from Jump, which was one of the main market maker. But there has been on the V1 a huge hack, okay? And that's why it takes a long time to build the V2, right? When a plane crashes, well, you have to really make sure that the software and the hardware eventually is a good thing that works extremely well. And there's multiple different audits. That's why we've been working very hard ourselves at SwissBorg, and hopefully Wormhole will be listed tomorrow and we'll be able to again front run in the entire world, in a great way. Thursday, it's all about MetaFest. It's going to be really amazing to see many community members, but a lot of cool founders as well. In Crans-Montana, it will happen on Thursday, and they'll have a special entire day about essentially Web3 and how essentially communities could be driven through technology and art, of course. There's going to be a party as well, so if you want to attend, please be there. Scan this code and make it happen. If not, if you're in Paris next week, we're going to have a really cool as well apéro péniche. There'll be a very nice lineup too, a lot of the great projects and things to earn as well. And we'll have a live jazz band as well. So it's going to be a lot of cool stuff happening on this beautiful boat on Paris. And if you are in Dubai the following week, so this week it's gonna be on Wednesday 17th. It's gonna be by the Palm. If you want to check out this, it's gonna be really cool as well. So scan this and make sure that you are attending one of these 3 events. And tonight as well, just right after this powwow, there's gonna have a BORG DeFi's progress update with Aurélien and other people. So make sure that happens as well. And we're having as well a fantastic Geneva meetup. I'm not sure about the date, but scan here and you'll figure it out. Question about the BORG and the yield itself. That is always a question that many people ask from the community. And I think so. Tonight we're going to have talks about that. But the most important part is to understand how is SwissBorg going to win the race. You know, it's not only about the yield. It's more importantly is how can we as a community be able to, like what we're doing with Solana right now, partner with great technology and be able to list tokens, opportunities, and bring the BORG to decentralize it in the best manner. And what we see, one of the very interesting parts is that the SwissBorg token has a lot of success within the app. And with, you know, the mass coming in slowly but surely, the things will go like we've seen in the past. But how can you sustain this on the long run? Well, you need a combination of off-chain type of utilities, such as the premium on the app, but it needs as well as a lot of off-chain as well, on-chain utilities, because we know that crypto degens and people that use crypto essentially use blockchain most of the time, right? So this is which is very important, and for that I think so. Agora, it's not about the BORG itself, but it's something that we could play this right. If we play this right in this way, then the next steps are going to be better and better. And we're going to truly believe we collectively manage to have a great use cases for the SwissBorg token. So the new alpha deal is Agora. And I think so it's very important before getting into the process of the alpha deal itself, which is very, very unique, is to understand a bit Agora. And of course, you have a special video with Pierre tomorrow that will be all about essentially walking you through. But here's a few smart one to go through, right? We know that there's a new era of GameFi, right? This is one of the big, the big steps for blockchain and how to get to mass adoption, which is that 50% of Web2 internet users play video games, right? And it's going to be the same thing to Web3. This is why we believe it's huge, right? And if you look at today, we see that there's 3.3 billion people that actually play video games, right? It's just massive. The market is huge. The number of money that's being generated is just insane. There's a combination of consoles, download PC, a lot of different things, but it's just insane when you think about it, okay? Things have evolved in multiple different ways, right? Arcade, console era, the computer beginning the online era, the mobile and cloud era, of course, which was more free to play, and now the Web3 GameFi era is play to own, right? You play and you own different things. You own your identity, you own these NFTs and all those things that could give you value to yourself and to many other people that you could sell as well, right? So this is really how things have evolved. I think so. What is very important as well, there's a huge amount of investments that's done. It's just crazy when you think about it. There's been last year $30 billion investment, and already over 10 billion in the first quarter in last year, and a little bit less happened this quarter. The growth is there too. We know that not everything is perfect yet, but it's just growing as we say. But there's things we need changes, right? You saw that Axie Infinity had like a huge amount of players, up to 3 million users. It's just crazy when you think about it. But then it went spiral because it was a bit like, of course, a Ponzi scheme to some extent, and it didn't really work well. So Agora, what is the GameFi hub? It really is going on 3 different things. On the exchange, because this is the most prolific business, it's things that people need to do. So how can you do efficient trading across multiple different chains, which is very, very important. How you would able to do this, in the easiest and the best way possible. That's pretty much what it is. There's the digital identity, which is obviously something that people have already developed, and people that are looking into this and in a very good way. SwissBorg is doing something similar to that. And last but not least, I think so, their great unique way to launch this cross-chain DEX is the loot box. And the loot box is something that's really, really fun. It's a great way for you to get to potentially have a lot of cool winnings that you could get out of it. I recommend you to check it out. It's really fun. There's no losers in this thing, which is cool. And the loot box system is very something different. The team itself is a lot of great people. It's people from SwissBorg themselves and others, of course. So this is what is good. The token economics makes a lot of sense. And I would say now we could look into the investment opportunity itself, which is very, 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 very different from what it is. Okay. And this is something really to look into, because it's not an investment only into the token itself. Really what it is an opportunity to become a liquidity provider. What is a liquidity provider? And do you understand the risk that's behind liquidity provider, which is very good. Instead of buying the token here, you directly provide liquidity for its launch, and it has 2 benefits that are very clear. You get the AGA tokens before anybody else. That's clearly the thing. And you receive bonus earnings through trading, fees, and market making incentive programs. There's 2 ways to get reward, right? So imagine you go into the deal, you get $100. You'll get essentially $50 worth of AGA tokens, $50 of USDC. And then what would happen is that each time there's trading that happenings, you get essentially fees on that. And to compensate the potential loss, you get on top of it airdrops on the liquidity pools itself, which is really, really important, right? Right now, the valuation of the AGA is at 44 million, which is not high and not low either, right? So if you deposit $1,000, you essentially get 5,682 AGA tokens and $500 on one pool, right? Then you get an extra potentially of 16,820 AGA tokens if you're in this liquidity pool for 12 months. So you could get potentially 3 times more the amount of tokens for this, which is really, really good. So in other words, what you're getting is that you're getting a lock of 12 months. You're providing liquidity, and there is a 60% potential downward protection towards essentially this investment. And I think so that is really, really nice, and you get up to 90% if things goes very well. Again, what you have to understand is, why do you get an incentive to provide this liquidity? Is that there's impermanent losses that happen sometimes in crypto, right? So if essentially, your trading fees does not support the fact that you get less and less amount of AGA tokens, for example, and they'll get more dollars at the end, but the AGA tokens goes like to 100x, then you get a lot of dollars, but you lose a lot of AGA tokens. So you probably will end up as a net positive, but you'll get less AGA tokens, which unfortunately is not that cool. It brings more volume to the project, so it's very good for the whole entire community, but you could feel yourself a little bit like, oh, well, I thought I had 5,682 AGA tokens, Now I have like only 2,500 anymore, and I have maybe not $500. I maybe have $2,000, right? In that case, you still make a net profit, but you will not have those AGA tokens as much. So that's why there's an incentive to reward yourself where you go 3x the number of actually tokens that you have in order to really make sure that you end up with more AGA tokens regardless of the scenario. And this is a 60% down protection on that. So this is a bit what you have to understand. I'm sure you have multiple questions, but this is what's done on chain. This is very important for what people really have to understand, because this is the mechanism that's going to be applied to multiple different deals going forward, and how we at SwissBorg could really truly decentralize the world by providing liquidity, right? And for that, you need, an extra incentive to do that. And I think so this is the perfect deal for it. Talking about perfect deals, obviously Galactica, the new alpha deal is about to come. I'm very, very excited about this one. Been working very hard for this project, layer one, for a very long time. And I think so, what we have to understand is that, first, thank you very much for what is happening in terms of growth. There's now 30,000 people across different socials, on Twitter, whatsoever. There is already over 1,000 unique individual wallets that are on DevNet that are trying this. SwissBorg, obviously, we're the KYC Garden #1. Occam's the data garden as well, which is really cool. And the alpha will happen in April. So there's already a lot has advanced so far, and I'm very excited about that. But let me hear you out. We know that Bitcoin has Revolution money, Ethereum has Revolution contracts. Galactica is about Revolution identities and the data that goes to this. It's really the merge between bringing the best from the off-chain world to the on-chain world. If you look at what has happened on Twitter regarding Watch Guru, right? Oh, by the way, I said this story is happening on SwissBorg. You guys should like this thing. If you go what happened on Watch Guru, it's quite crazy. Okay, NextFit has paid $100 million to access private messages on Facebook. $100 million. Did you get anything out of that? No, you didn't. And you could say, yeah, but that's not GDPR compliant, all that, whatever. It's still, the deal did happen, right? Maybe it was at a different time whatsoever, maybe different countries. But overall, people make money out of your data. That's how Facebook, Meta makes money, Google, everyone. These guys become billionaires because they have billion people. What if now you flip that thing around and you say like, oh, I don't agree by selling my data, or if I do sell my data, I make the money. And that's what the whole thing is about, essentially. Galactica is you could earn a lot of money by providing essentially your data. And we think that monetizing your data is the new ID5. ID5 is the new generation of truly empowering Web3 users to get a lot for what they're essentially providing as data. And this is something that's very, very important, I think so, is that, we know that loyalty programs work very well, but what if you provide some extra identity to that? That will probably enable you to get a lot of great, better rewards, right? Than just giving random, airdrops to a lot of different people, right? So ID5 is a big one. Obviously, reputation that goes with it is exactly the same thing as that. And I think so. These are the strong thing you want to go going forward. Is if you look at what's happening today, is that if tomorrow there's someone, you don't know, it doesn't have no track record whatsoever, you start giving essentially a very high reward to that person, it doesn't make sense. If you, without knowing that person, but if that person was zero knowledge, or if he could tell you that he or she has been able to provide all this type of data sets and has been eligible to get these rewards, then it makes this meritocracy much stronger. And I think so. This is the big thing about Galactica, is that tomorrow you're going to be able, let's say Roman Sprengers or Attica or whatever, Julien, or it doesn't really matter. Any person that is watching this video, if you could start like giving the data that you have watched, let's say, I don't know, 1,000 powwows, right? Or 100 powwows. And you start sharing that data to us, maybe that means you're much more loyal, then you should get rewarded in a better way. if you've been very active on Twitter, then you should probably get more reward going forward or better yield on BORG or whatsoever, right? This is a way that you could extract the best value data that we have from Web 2 and make it rewardful on Web 3. I think so. This is exactly it. And, you know, Web 2 has created very few billionaires. I am pretty sure Web 3 with Galactica will not create 1,000 millionaires. Will create 1 million millionaires. And I think so. That's exactly where we should be heading. SwissBorg community to the week. Just shout out to the beautiful people that are here. Thank you so much. This could be a very good use case for Galactica, is that if you have your picture there for more than a month, then you should be rewarded in a beautiful way. I think so that would be very nice to see that. Guardians, please submit your deals. It's really wordful. Meritocratically, we want to have new great ideas. Weekly in BORG data, things are going a little bit slower than it was last week, unfortunately. With now only 411 people, still good. Don't get me wrong, it's still very good having 411. However, only 154 people, 54,000 people now, not 155, but it's still good. Weekly data, it's pretty much the same. It's not great. A little bit of outflows, I think so. But though the great thing is that things are still in a good shape, I would see. We see with 102,000 transactions last week, which is nice. A little bit less of trading volume, only 80 million, but still good enough. And weekly active users, only 140,000. Castier score for the community index. And it was not 8.5 last week, if I don't remember. Today it's 7.7, so it's still good, but overall things went a little bit lower. Beautiful Borgers, I'm very excited that as well many of UK, of course, our dear love UK users were able to finally onboard and use back the app. I think so that was done in a very short time to be compliant in the best way possible with the new regime put in place. I think so this is really good. I hope that you're very happy, because there was some FUD last week, but then boom, like always, you know, you throw a cat in the air and then you always falls, leans back on his claws. And I think that's what we do at SwissBorg in a very good way. We're very agile, work very hard, and we love you so much that we always put the best way to protect you and make sure we're compliant and the best way possible. Two great projects, Galactica and Agora. They're a spin-off of SwissBorg itself. This new way of market making is going to be very, very liquidity providing. It's going to be very, very big. So please have a look at this. Galactica, of course, as well. If not the markets, as you know, we're playing this channel before the big event, but things might change as well. The macro picture is looking a bit nicer than it is. So that's never a good sign of not having liquidity injections, but we'll see what the Fed says in the next one. In the meantime, as always, be wealthy, be healthy, love our BORG and equity, and see you tomorrow, after tomorrow in Montana, or next week in Paris. Take care, guys. Much love. Bye.
Thank you for watching our weekly powwow episode. If you enjoyed the show, make sure to leave a like, and if you didn't, tune in next week anyway, so that you can figure out if it's better then. Bye.